now my great honor, of course, to introduce to you someone that doesn't need much introduction whatsoever, Judge Jeanine.
All right. Perfect introduction. Thank you. Thank you all. It's great to be here in Palm Beach. No, I'm in Jupiter. I'm Trump Jupiter. You know, first of all, thank you. Thank you. Please be seated. I appreciate it. I must tell you that the enthusiasm that I feel down here is unbelievable. And I've been on a book tour for about 3 months with my book, Liars, Leakers, and Liberals, still on the New York Times bestsellers list. And think about this. It had to kill the New York Times to list me as #1. It had to kill them. And every week I say they're going to throw me off there. So 3 months later, we're still on. And if you really want to fix them, buy them for Christmas presents, and we'll stay on even longer. All right. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes to kind of take you along with me on why I wrote the book, Liars, Leakers, and Liberals. You know, the man came to us at just the right time. We were coming out of an administration that was riddled with corruption, where the economy was in shambles, and where up was down and down was up and everything was backwards. And on my show Justice with Judge Jeanine, which is on Saturday nights, thank you. And let me say this, for those of you who didn't hear it from me before, if you don't watch, I'm not on. It's really that simple. It's about the numbers. So I thank you for taking the time to watch me. I really mean that. I do. I don't take anything for granted, and I appreciate it. So every weekend, every Saturday, I write the show. I write the open. It's in my words, and I'm usually fired up about something. And every week, there's always something to get fired up about. There is. I'm always PO'd, okay? So every once in a while, I'll come into the office, and I'll say, you know, I can't think of anything to talk about tonight. You know, I'm kind of laid back, easy. Maybe it's a summer day in New York City. And my staff, you can see them kind of doing this. Say something to tee her off. Just get her mad. And they can. They know my buttons, and then they go, boop, and I'm like, that's crap. So I write all these opens, and the book is really a reflection of a lot of the opens, but it's just a longer version of them. Right now, in the United States, we are at the intersection, a very important intersection of Americanism and globalism. And I think as I took photos with a lot of you, I said, what do you want me to talk about tonight? Some people had some thoughts, some didn't, but the one that was most popular was immigration. And I'll get into that at just the right moment. But the reality is that every day, we have to fight to continue. If you like Donald Trump, you have to continue to fight, or we're going to reverse it back to where it was. He did come to us at just the right time. His political incorrectness spoke to us. What he said made sense to us. And his outsider status is what appealed to us. He wasn't part of the swamp where people come to Washington with mediocre, modest means, and they leave with hundreds of millions of dollars. If not for themselves, then for the husband, the family member, the children, and we got tired of it. And the amazing part of it is that he won against 16 others. Thank you, Annie. Thank you. We love Annie Delgado. Let's say thank you to Annie. Thank you for what you do. So it didn't matter. Where the hell was I going, Annie, before I said Annie Delgado? Yeah, so he came to us at just the right time and all that jazz. And in truth, we were living in a country where the annual GDP was 1%, and that was considered the new normal. They said manufacturing would never come back. They started creating sanctuary cities. They started saying that it was okay to open the borders, as if they weren't already open, to anyone who wanted to come here, to make sure that this was a globalist, elitist extension of Europe. And unfortunately, that's not who we are. The founding fathers didn't believe that we should be a country where everybody comes in. And they believed in certain rights, unalienable rights, that for some reason the last administration didn't follow. And I'll tell you when I personally knew things were wrong. I think it was during the first National Prayer Breakfast. Barack Obama gets up. There had just been a beheading, and he gets up and he says, "You Christians, get off your high horse," as if it's our turn. He says terrible deeds were committed in the name of Christ during the Crusades, and even the Jim Crow laws were in the name of Christ. And I remember, now I'm Catholic, I went to Catholic schools, but I mean, you know, I'm not over the edge with my religion. But I said to myself, this is contrary to what I believe and to what I think. And then I started thinking it's bigger than that. It's contrary to the Judeo-Christian ethics upon which this nation was founded. So when Donald Trump came along and he said, "You know what? We're going to say Merry Christmas again. We're going to respect religion again," he spoke to us. He spoke to me and he spoke to you. And that's why we elected him. And they have done everything they can to get this man to either resign or to indict him, impeach him, anything. Everything from the White House is in chaos. I got to tell you about that. So the first time I go to the White House is supposed to be in chaos. I fully expect when I walk into the West Wing, there'll be people hanging from the chandeliers, you know, vomiting in their garbage cans, hiding behind their office desks, or, you know, with a spring gun in case you open their office door. I mean, it was crazy. And they maligned him and Melania and the boys and Ivanka and even 10-year-old Barron, who is now 12. The hatred that came out of the left was stunning. And it got deeper and deeper as they paid people with George Soros's money to start this Antifa and to start the Trump hatred. What you need to understand is these people, like the ones who were objecting and protesting the Kavanaugh nomination, they all carried the same signs. This is an organized effort. These aren't people saying Brett Kavanaugh, the nominee for Supreme Court Justice, you know, was a bad person. This is someone who was paying and an organization all over this country with these expensive signs. And even the president tweeted, he said, "These are not signs that were made in the basement with love." All right? He knows. He gets it. He's aware of it. I know Donald Trump. I've known him for 30 years. My then husband was his lawyer for 10 years. We used to fly back and forth with him on the jet. Every weekend during the season, we had a house in West Palm, and my kids were little, his kids were little. He's the most decent human being I know. And I remember, and I tell this to everybody, I remember some of the stories, and we've been with him late in the morning, early in the day, all day long, parties, everything. He would say to his kids, never raise his voice. You don't talk to her like that. You don't talk to him like that. You're not getting your allowance. And I remember sitting on the jet, and I was reading the New York Times magazine, and he says to the kids, when we land, we're gonna go to Kmart to get us school supplies. And I remember I had the New York Times magazine, I specifically remember this, and I'm reading it, I'm like, Donald Trump goes to Kmart to get his school supplies? I mean, there were no silver spoons in these kids' mouth, and the proof of the pudding is who they are now. They are brilliant. They are great kids. And none of them, no run-ins with the law, no alcohol, no drug problem, no domestic violence problem. These are hard-working kids who work their tails off and who love their father. He has instilled in them this incredible loyalty, true affection. So I say to those people on the left, you're haters. You want to make fun of Melania's accent, you pigs? She speaks 5 languages. How many languages do you speak, Chelsea Handler? You know, all of them are simple haters. And every day, and I remember saying to the president, I was in the Oval Office with him, and I remember saying, does it ever get to you? Like when we're exhausted from it. When we're exhausted, it's not even happening to us. He said, no. He was serious. He said, however, even though I signed up for this, my kids didn't sign up for it. And it hurts him when they do it to his kids. But the kids are tough, and they will survive. You know, my background, and I want to speak about this for a minute, is in law enforcement. I've been a prosecutor, judge, and DA for over 3 decades. I've run for office 5 times in New York, and I have the scars to prove it, okay? I have been very fortunate to work in government. I'm a believer. I believe in truth and justice and law and order. The truth is that the FBI, to me, and the Department of Justice were the citadels. You know, when Ronald Reagan talks about that city on the hill where everything is great, and then all of a sudden, it collapsed in my head and in my heart. I know Jim Comey. Jim Comey was the head of the FBI. I worked with him. I was the elected district attorney when he was the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, and we worked cases together. He is one smart guy. He knows how to try cases. He knows what he's doing. So on July 5th of 2016, when he got up and he said, no reasonable prosecutor will prosecute Hillary Clinton on the email scandal, I said, Jim, you were bought. First of all, Jim, who do you think you are standing in the shoes of the United States Attorney General announcing whether or not Hillary should be prosecuted? The Attorney General is the one who decides if crime should be prosecuted, not the FBI. When I was the DA, cops brought me cases and we did $40,000 a year. They bring me a case, I tell them whether or not I'm going forward with it. They don't tell me that I'm going forward with it. All right? That's not how justice works in America. And he knows it. But then again, good old Loretta was probably a little too busy meeting with Bill, the husband of a woman under active criminal investigation for a year on a tarmac discussing grandchildren and their golf games. What a bunch of hogwash. So, but as they tried to drag that corrupt criminal hag across the presidential finish line, they realized all of our efforts are for naught. We're going to have to do something else. So they decide to frame Donald Trump. Peter Strzok. Have you ever seen more arrogance in your life? And I love the FBI. I work with I love these guys and these women. They're great. But the ones who ascended to the top, I got to be careful. I don't have to be careful. They're criminals. Jim Comey, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, they're all criminals. All right? They are criminals. You don't lie to Congress. You don't lie to the FBI. You don't lie to the American people. And you don't make up facts that aren't the case. What you
They heard you.
Yeah, they hear me a lot. I don't care.
He's fixing it right there.
You fixing it? I got a loud mouth. Here we go. So, Andrew McCabe talk about him for a second.
Oh.
He is the deputy director of the FBI. His wife wants to run for the Senate in Virginia. So what he does is he sends his resume to Terry McAuliffe as someone in the FBI. His wife wants to run for Senate. Terry McAuliffe is a board member of the Clinton Foundation and the governor of Virginia. All right? And guess what? Terry McAuliffe gives his wife $675,000 to run for state Senate in 2016, and she loses. All right? That's too bad. Whatever. There's something called karma, whatever. But here's the rub. The law in Virginia is that whatever money you don't use in your campaign, you can put in your pocket. Oh, what a shock. And he's investigating the email case. If that isn't a conflict, folks, I don't know what is. But Jim Comey doesn't fire him. Jim Comey protects him. And then what they decide through Peter Strzok, who is the Deputy Director of Counterintelligence, that they will frame Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton and the DNC, and they're both really interchangeable. She was running the DNC for the 2016 election. Ask Donna Brazile or read her book. And she then pays for they pay for the dossier. The dossier, I don't know why they call it a dossier, whatever. What it is it's an allegation that Donald Trump was having sex with prostitutes in Russia and in Moscow, and they were peeing on him. I mean, maybe the Martians were too. But as a result of them peeing on him, he would be beholden to the Russians, and he could be blackmailed by the Russians. Therefore, he is in collusion, in cahoots with the Russians. They then go to a federal judge, and they hand over this dossier. This is proof that we need to wiretap the Trump campaign. So they wiretap this guy, Carter Page, who's on my show a few times. Carter Page, nice guy, he's a kid, he's all right, and they surveil him. And then we find out later that they had a human resource, aka spies, in the Trump campaign. They won't admit to it, and nobody presses them hard enough. There were spies in the Trump campaign, and you can rest assured, as sure as I'm standing here, that if there were one iota of evidence, you would have heard about it. There is no Russian collusion, and I am PO'd that this federal judge on the FISA court, the most secret court in the United States, had the audacity to issue wiretap warrants and allowed surveillance, not just once, but 4 times. And every additional time you have to come and say, Judge, we have this additional information, which is why we need another 90 days. And we learned this, which is why we need another 90 days. They ain't nothing. And the fact that no judge has complained infuriates me, because as a judge, I signed warrants, eavesdropping orders. As a DA, I applied, did search warrants, all kinds of warrants. You allow this without any evidence? You read this dossier and you don't say who paid for it? And everybody signed it. Rod Rosenstein, who is making me crazy, he's still there. Rod Rosenstein, Jim Comey, Peter Strzok, all of them were in cahoots. Everyone on the 7th floor of the FBI, and Strzok's Gumad, what's her name, Lisa Page, okay? It's all there. It's right in front of us, and that's what infuriates me. Doesn't it make you mad? You're looking at this, and they're saying, don't believe your lying eyes. Peter Strzok goes and testifies before Congress, indignant that you would dare say, do you think he'll win for president? No, we'll stop it. No, we'll stop it. Don't believe it. I didn't mean we'll stop it. I meant they'll stop it. Oh, come on. The guy needs to be prosecuted. They all need to be taken out in cut. So, now I'm going to advance to Kavanaugh, and then I'm going to end soon. I know I brought some notes up. I guess I lost them. Did you take my notes? Those are my notes. I don't need them, but you know how they make you feel good? It's like your eyeglasses. All right. Brett Kavanaugh. Now, I want you to remember your anger, because if you don't remember your anger in November, they're going to win. They're going to win. Because they're angry that he got on. The feigned anger, the women clawing at the Supreme Court doors, they have no rights. I mean, this is all feigned outrage. So let me talk about rape victims. Attempted rape victims. How about assault? I don't know what the hell it was supposed to be, but here's the deal. Was the woman credible? Yes. I'm telling you, she was believable. And if you ever argue with someone, you say, I believe something happened to her. Was it Brett Kavanaugh? Well, let's analyze it. I've tried rape cases. I created a sex crimes unit. I started the first domestic violence unit in the nation in 1978. Now, I'm not looking for applause, thank you, but I tell you that so you know from whence I'm coming. All right? Women in the criminal justice system were my crusade. The silent victims of crime, women, children, the elderly. Women's allegations had to be corroborated. They used to give women lie detector tests. We can't believe women, but I can believe it if a guy says, hey, they stole my Rolex. But if a woman says, I was sexually assaulted, no, you can't believe women. You know women, how they are. Okay? That was my passion. So it is in that context that I want to say this. He said, she said. You can win beyond a reasonable doubt. He said, she said. But when it's she said, he said, and they said. She came up with 4 people, and then it was 2 people. One of them was her best friend. So they go to the 2 people and they say, we don't know what the hell she's talking about. There was no party. There was no assault. We don't even remember this. I don't even know Brett Kavanaugh. Are you kidding me? And you want to march and be outraged over this? You cannot. Her alibis weren't alibis. They don't know what she's talking about. And by the way, if you were victimized, when you came downstairs, did you tell anybody? Did you look upset? How about behavioral changes? How about changes in school? Did your grades go down? Did you tell your mother, your best friend, or your college counselor? How did you get home that night? Who's the first person you saw? When is the first time you said the name Kavanaugh other than 2018? And you know what? I'll bet dollars to donuts. Remember, they wouldn't hand over the therapy notes. Do you want to know why? Now, I'm just going to guess here. There's something called confabulation. With rape victims, it would not be unusual to put them under hypnosis. And when they're under hypnosis, what you do is you try to go back to the repressed memory. But the confabulation piece is that the repressed memory is then confabulated with events of the day, people's names in the newspaper, people you see on television, which is why repressed memory hypnosis is not allowed in criminal courts. That's why you didn't see those notes. And I'll tell you another reason, because Kavanaugh's name was nowhere in those notes. It was a charade. How dare you say that the burden of proof is on the accused? How dare you say that there's no presumption of innocence? How dare you say a woman, because she has ovaries, must be believed? That is hogwash. So, are you tired of winning yet?
Never.
We have an economy that's better than it's been in I don't know how many years. We've got more jobs than people to fill them. I think unemployment is 3.7% now. The GDP is 4.2 and going up. ISIS caliphate is destroyed in the Middle East. The consumer confidence is greater than it's been in 100 years. The animal spirits that they talk about in economics is through the roof. People are now in a position where they feel they've got a chance for themselves and their family. And the only way we're going to keep this is if we keep this man in the White House. And finally, I want to just say a word about sanctuary cities. Okay? Do you know what a sanctuary city is? Do you really know what it is? I know a lot of you are nodding your heads, and please, I apologize if I'm being too simplistic here, but I want you to imagine this. There is a warrant for a guy. This is how it works. The guy is in the jail. So the guys with the warrant, like when I was DA, my guys, my investigators would get a call that Rhode Island wants John Smith. John Smith is getting out on Thursday. So, Rhode Island will call my guys and say, look, we can't get there till Friday. Can you hold them another 24 hours? My guys would say, sure, no problem, we'll hold them. Imagine, and then when Rhode Island gets there, we give them the criminal, they put him in cuffs, they take him back to Rhode Island to be prosecuted there. ICE does that all the time. We have a detainer for this individual who's in your jail, in your jurisdiction. What happens in sanctuary cities, towns, villages, counties, and states is that they will say he's getting out on Thursday. ICE will come in on Thursday to get him, but they let him out on Wednesday. ICE will come to get him, and they let him out the back door instead of the front door. This is a defiance of federal law. This is, as far as I'm concerned, a conspiracy to avoid an arrest. It is obstruction. It is everything that is contrary to our law. But it's worse than that. It's worse than that because a criminal goes into your town. That criminal feels that he or she can do whatever they want. Those Americanos are stupid. They're going to let me out. Even though a judge has ordered me deported, even though I have 7 felony convictions, even though I've been deported 5 times, as in the Kate Steinle case and the Molly Tibbetts case, I'm going to go into this jurisdiction and no one's going to touch me. But the people at risk are the American citizens around and ICE, because they're going into a town where the illegal knows that he or she is being looked for, and ICE is going into a trap. It's really that simple. They are un-American. They don't care about American citizens. And that's why you have to keep this in mind when you try to get people out to vote in 2018. If you want this to continue, then you don't elect people who are Republicans or conservatives. There are socialists getting elected in local offices across this country. Make no mistake. They want socialism and they want communism. And don't think I'm out of my mind, because Bernie Sanders would have been the candidate for president but for Hillary Clinton's rigging the DNC. And this guy is an admitted socialist. I don't know about you, but I pay enough in taxes, and I am sick and tired of paying for people who shouldn't be here in the first place, people who violate the law. And don't tell me, do not tell me that illegals don't get education, medication, housing, food stamps. They do, they get all of it. And you pay for it. And as far as I'm concerned, the government may be my partner, but I don't think they're my partners. You want to come here, you come like everybody else. You want asylum, you come through the port for asylum. You want to live like an American citizen, then you swear to support this country. You swear allegiance to the United States. You salute the flag. You don't don't kneel at the flag. And you mark my words, if you allow them in, the First Amendment won't matter anymore. There will be no free speech, and I've been saying this for years. It's called hate speech. It's prosecuted in Europe. There are people here who know this for a fact. If you say something that they consider blasphemous to maybe Mohammed, you can be prosecuted. Remember Charlie Hebdo and all those murders when they shot everybody? It's called hate speech. If you say anything against Muhammad in Europe, you go to jail. You can be killed. You can be killed. And right now, it was September 28th, 2 weeks after Benghazi in 2012. It was September 25th in 2012. Barack Obama is at the UN. I remember the green marble wall behind him. And he said, the future cannot belong to those who do not, how did he say it? The future cannot belong to those who blaspheme the Islam or who don't respect Islam. That is a quote. Google it, look it up. I may not have it exactly right, but I got the date, the year, and the guy who said it. The future cannot belong to those who will trash Islam. Well, what are you telling me here? The Christians should get off their high horses. It's their turn. You cannot blaspheme Mohammed. And you put it together with the UN resolution that Hillary Clinton signed when she was Secretary of State that allows for the prosecution, and the U.S. is a signatory country of those who would blaspheme Mohammed. Your First Amendment free speech, I'm telling you, is in jeopardy. So, you have a decision to make. Do you want a free country that respects law and order? Yes. Do you want a free country where you have the right to free speech and the unalienable rights that come from our Creator? Do you want a Judeo-Christian nation? Do you want to be able to continue with this economy and have your children be safe as opposed to worrying about ISIS and the next attack? Then you have no choice. 2018 and 2020 are in your hands. And make no mistake, they are fired up and determined to take it away from us. So, in closing, it's very simple. The most important thing you can do is get to people that you know through social media, senior homes, whatever it is. This country can be great for us and our children. And I think it was Ronald Reagan, and I spoke at the Ronald Reagan Library, I think last month, I don't even remember. And there was something that Ronald Reagan said that was so true. He said, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We don't pass it to our children through, I'm sure he didn't say DNA, through the blood. It doesn't automatically go to them. Freedom must be fought for every day. And that's what I leave you with. I thank you. God bless all of you. God bless America.
What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Round of applause here or what? Attorney General, can I hear that? Yeah, absolutely.
Ben, you got that? Straight down. Let her go, please. Thank you so much. Hey, listen, guys. Wow, is she powerful and awesome? Thank God. Thank you, Judge Jeanine. And this is what we do here at Trump Team 2020, and we're going to continue to do this. And we're going to continue to work as hard as we need to work to make sure that we get all of our friends and family members out here to vote. November the 6th is so very important.